afternoon, everyone. I'm Max Ngare. I'm the Executive Creative Director at Dentsu. I'm a creative. And yeah, I work a lot with influencers as well.
Afternoon, guys. My name is Keith Mwangi, Marketing Manager at Boomplay. I'm a music connoisseur, and I'm excited to talk about influencer marketing with you guys.
Thank you for that, guys. So I'm pretty sure all of us this week have been part of the social media week. We are all creatives in one way or the other, and we've all seen after the COVID pandemic that there had been an uptick in social media, or rather, there had been an uptick in people consuming content on the digital space. So my first question, I shall pose it to the influencer. Dave, would you consider a career in influencing, would you call it a full-time job?
I think there's a lot of potential in it. I'm yet to meet someone who's doing it full-time, but yeah, I'd love to talk to someone who's doing it full-time. I think that would be interesting. But yeah, I think there's a lot of potential, like in social media and jobs with brands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd like to explore that. Yeah.
Okay, maybe there's someone in the crowd who does influencing as a full-time job or has an experience with it. And to you, Max, would you consider it as a full-time career? Do creatives have an opportunity in today's day and age to fully pursue?
So I'd look at it this way. I think when you use the term influencers, we kind of box them into just, your people who, you're using your audience, you're using your social clout to, move products and services. I think the moment you start seeing them as creators instead of influencers, then yes, that's a full-time thing. It's people who are making things, who enjoy making things, telling stories. So 100% believe that there is opportunity to take up influencing as a full-time job, and I think we're seeing more and more of those people.
Okay, and for you, Mark, and for you, Keith, yeah, being in the marketing space, would you say it's offensive for us to call them influencers? Do you see them as creators? From the brand perspective, what would you categorize the creators as?
I think at the end of the day, if you create content and you don't push it, then you're not an influencer. Yeah? So I do believe that influencers are also content creators. Yeah. So for example, if you're just a photographer, but then you never push your content, then you're just a content creator. But if you take it to the next level and start promoting it on social platforms, then you become an influencer.
And can anyone be an influencer?
Yeah, I think it's possible for anyone to create. You just need a phone and an internet connection. So yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think anyone can be, an influencer. Anyone can create content. Maybe finding a unique voice is what differentiates you. So people are actually looking for those stories that are more unique. They are looking for more interesting, more entertaining content. So if you do decide to take up being an influencer, you kind of need to have that fresh new voice, that uniqueness that will attract people.
Yeah, I feel that yes, anyone can be a content creator or an influencer, but you need to be passionate, yeah, about what you're talking about or what you're pushing. Yeah. So for example, I don't think it would make sense for someone who doesn't drink to be pushing alcoholic brands. Yeah. That would be, lying to your audience, lying to yourself as well. Yeah. Yeah, so everyone can be an influencer, but it boils down to What do you love? What are you passionate about? What are you more capable of talking about on your social platforms?
Okay, and just to build on that, in today's day and age, we all have influence in one way or the other. So gone are the days where you just run an ad on TV, put up a billboard. So would you say that marketers and brands still control the consumer journey?
Well, I feel that we try our best as marketers and brands. We try our best to control the consumer journey. Yeah, that's why we craft campaigns and with strategies that can guide or dictate the consumer journey. But at the end of the day, consumers have free will. They are free to choose when they want to purchase, what they want to purchase, or what they want to listen to as well. We can only nudge them in the direction that we want, but at the end of the day, they do have their own voice and their own will.
Maybe you can hear from you.
Yeah, I think that I agree with him. There's definitely, well, I wouldn't say, control is such a big word. I'd say it's more of guidance, because every brand has to have a way that they move and a way that they put out content. But I think most of all that the creators, like for me, when I go to a hashtag, like guys are so creative. So yeah, there's I guess freedom of creation. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
You, Max, would you say that today's consumers trust strangers more than the brand or the content creator?
Could you just repeat that?
Would you say that today's social consumers, yeah, do they trust strangers more or do they trust the brands and the content creators?
So interesting question. I guess I wouldn't say that they trust strangers. I would say that we live in an age where the person who shouts the most gets most eyeballs, right? And we're also living in a time where that peer-to-peer recommendation is actually at the highest. So if this brand is shouting about something, my friend is shouting about the same thing, I'm easily influenced or swayed to go that direction, seeing as many people are talking about it. Yeah, so I think they don't just go out there and trust strangers, they actually look and research. So the consumer is actually very woke right now, and they look for brands that, kind of seeing their same values, they seeing the same purpose that they think they have. Hence, they'll be more likely to be influenced by those kinds of brands and not just anyone.
Okay, we've seen many situations, and I'll give the example of Cambridge Analytica about our data, our privacy, all these nitty-gritties around social media. Will this cause like a lack of trust? Will we eventually find new channels maybe to influence? Or do you see this as social media losing trust around people?
I think there's a lot of investment in security on different platforms, but like we're so far in it. I mean, I don't even use Facebook anymore, and they've already changed their name. Like, it's so crazy. Like, there's so many changes, and there's so many, like, there's just different areas where we have our information, and we literally don't know what these platforms will do with it, but we're just trusting. But I think we're so far into like social media and like just it as a thing that we're using now, even just for business, that we just have to trust, I guess, by force, that everything will be okay. But yeah, it's definitely risky. I mean, how many people read what's that form they give you in the beginning, the terms and conditions. Like, I never read that. Like, I just scrolled down to the bottom and clicked on the yes. So, yeah, I think it's risky, but yeah, I think we just have to trust that, yeah, that that everything will be okay. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think we're starting to see, it's increasingly hard to win the consumer's trust now. We're in an age where if you're not operating ethically, if you're collecting user data and you don't say what you use it for, you'll be questioned by the same users you're trying to attract. So we have, brands need to be wary that your consumer is way more smarter than he was 5 years ago. They're very, aware of whatever is happening, and that trade-off between me sharing my data and it being used for other things than what I agreed on will just cost you.
I think that works to the advantage of the influencers, reason being that when nowadays, especially nowadays, when consumers see that, this is an advertisement or a sponsored ad, immediately they switch off, yeah? So what does this end up doing, yeah? So consumers end up trusting people, trusting influencers more than they trust brands. Because the minute you see a sponsored ad, maybe these people just got my data from somewhere and, they're just pushing this messaging to me, yeah? But then me as a consumer, who do I trust? I trust my friends, my peers, or the influencers that I look up to, yeah.
Maybe just to add on this, we've all heard about, or we've seen that Facebook have rebranded and they've introduced the metaverse, where they'll probably get more data about us, more information about us. Maybe you can just quickly share your thoughts about the path we are taking, or the path Facebook has taken into the metaverse, where we'll basically be in a whole new planet, and our data. I'm sure we've all experienced when we'd be talking to our friends, maybe I mention Watamu, and the next ad is a holiday destination. So maybe you can quickly offer your thoughts on the new way the digital space is going.
Yeah, for me, I was watching like some video where they were interviewing Mark Zuckerberg, and he was talking about how it's just gonna be like you won't have to go anywhere. Like business is gonna be in the metaverse. Like, so I was just thinking, wow, like me, I love socializing. So like if it's like taking away from our social lives, like that's really scary. But yeah, I think it's really different. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I mean, the guy was saying it's going to take 3 to 5 years to start, and that's just here. So, yeah, it's a new era, I think. Yeah.
I think the metaverse is pretty interesting. This is another virtual world where people can still connect. You can still like meet other guys there. You can still meet your friends. You can meet new places. So kinda, I don't know. I play a lot of video games, and I'm very familiar with this kind of meeting people virtually in a made-up world. So the metaverse is trying to just make the real world, the virtual world mimic the real world almost, but then make it easier to connect with other people. So if you're thinking of, if you're manifesting Diani, you can literally just snap your fingers and you're there. You can, what they were saying, you can teleport to different locations. It talks about even the kind of messages you'll start seeing. So think about people who don't have access to travel, who haven't seen the world, or who want to like go enjoy a different place that they've never been. So that's the opportunity there. And even for brands, it becomes interesting because now you have to be 10 times more smarter in how you get their attention in there. and it's a space where, you know, the physical, the real world rules do not really apply. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait.
For me, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Reason being, um, reason being, consumers or the general public will end up focusing on the alternative life, yeah, that alternate reality, yeah, rather than focusing on their own life, yeah. So you think since I can travel to Diani or I can have like a nice sweep in this metaverse, then I'm winning in life, which is not your reality, yeah. You should be actually focusing on improving your everyday life, yeah. But then I feel like in terms of advertising, especially in the music space, the opportunities are endless. We might start seeing virtual concerts, especially for us guys in this market being Africa. We might get to access experiences such as concerts that ideally would never have a chance of experiencing those things, yeah? So I'm eager to see what musicians especially do with this metaverse and this virtual reality, yeah.
Welcome, Julius.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you could just give a quick introduction before we continue.
My name is Julius Ochieng Otieno. People know me as Wolo TV or 1 Minute Man. I'm a content creator. Even though you won't believe it, but I'm what are they called? I'm looking for the best way to describe it. I'm a commercial model. But yeah, I just do content and I act.
Okay, so maybe I'll just throw this out. How many are excited about the metaverse? Maybe just by a quick show of hands. It would be really exciting to see how brands maybe would leverage their campaigns, you know, in the metaverse. So maybe also you could just tell us, you've heard about the metaverse, yes?
To be honest, I'm hearing it for the first time, like, unless you guys just like to explain to me.
Yeah, it's Facebook's new virtual reality space.
Yes.
Yeah,
Kumbe
yeah.
ni hiyo.
Yes, yo.
Naijua, nimeona.
So maybe like for you, how do you think maybe you do skits and comedy, yeah? So maybe in such a situation, like for you as a creative, what potential do you see in that space?
I've seen Majimbo, right? Advertising it, yeah. So I feel like it would be very interesting, to be honest. I feel like it will just be a way where we will just be like, I was doing the explainer journey. But I feel like also it will be a very big issue when it comes to just human interaction, you know. Like already social media has become a very big tool where people are not connecting face to face. So it's another reason why people will stay home and not want to go out there and interact. So yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Okay, and it's also a challenge we face with today's social media. As much as it's made us use our phones more, as a world, we've never been more united. So my next question it goes to both from the brand side and the creative side. So a brand might come with a campaign idea for you, and after testing out the product, you know, you're not a fan. So as a creative, tell me what would be your process. Would you still go ahead because you're getting paid? Or if you don't feel like you're relatable to the brand, will you turn it down? And also now to the brands here, should you offer non-compete clauses? Because maybe he'll change his mind. Maybe I like Pepsi and Coke have approached me. So just share your thoughts on that.
I think it's good to have a niche, but I also think it's good to be versatile. So if you can make it work, cool. But yeah, I think I'd love to hear from the brand side. But yeah, I think it's good to just give it a shot. You never know. Yeah.
On my side, if I don't feel like I can be able to do a video organically, placing the brand there, then I won't take it. But then again, unajua, hiyo ni kama 1 week ago, right? Because before that, mfuko pia, you just look at the pocket again. But also, it's also good to also give yourself a challenge. Where you get a brand and you find a way of putting your mind into it so much that you can let the brand out. So there's a small between giving yourself the challenge of coming up with an amazing content, amazing video, and you not being comfortable working with the brand, unaona? Because it's kuna hiyo barabara tu ndogo kabisa. Yeah.
And have any of you experienced this personally? Maybe you can give us maybe a personal story.
As a brand I worked with, and I feel like, for me, I just felt like people won't be able to buy it. And me, I'm all about value. So what value am I adding to the brand? Because at the same time, we don't want to get the money out of the brand and then you don't give the brand value. So there's no point. So some brands just say no simply because you just know that you would give them value. No. So yeah.
Okay, and now from hearing the creative side, now on the brand side, most times I don't know maybe how you select the influencers. Maybe you have a profile, they fit the specific profile. So how do you challenge or how do you tackle this challenge?
I mean, when, for example, you're working with a brand like Safaricom, for example, and maybe they're launching a new product, we try and match what that brand, that product is about with a specific influencer. So we don't want someone who's, maybe the product is for maybe young professionals. We do look for people who kind of match who we are selling. So we do these things where we create a persona around this product and we say that, they wake up at this time, they go to school, they go to work. So we try to find an influencer who kind of matches that person that we see. One, because maybe they will relate with the product better and it'll be really natural for them to talk about it and eventually have people use it. So yeah, so there's a lot of filters that we go through when pairing a particular product or service with an influencer.
So for Boomplay, I don't know how I can say this without bragging, but we're the #1 music streaming and download service in Africa. So what does that mean? Most influencers usually work with us, and again, the product that we're selling is music, yeah? And the biggest influencers are musicians, yeah? So even them, by just pushing their own product, they're also influencing, the platform and the music, yeah? So it's kind of easy for us, yeah? But then when it comes to working with influencers that are not musicians, we also look at, what are these people talking about, yeah? And to be very honest, there's a very small niche of people who just focus on music in Kenya. Yes, but we are able to identify them, and we also work with musicians, and they also recommend people who can push the music, yeah. And you see, when it comes to pushing music, of course, there's a gospel side and the secular side, yeah. So if you're pushing a gospel project, of course, we can't work with people who are very profane or vulgar and that kind of thing, yeah. So I feel like for us, maybe we have already cracked it, yeah.
Okay, maybe we can hear, because it's a creative space and we have both sides of the coin on the over here, yeah. So maybe we can hear from someone. Maybe someone has experienced this personally, where they've worked with a brand they didn't really like, and maybe they actually did well, and vice versa. Maybe the brand didn't like the influencer, and the influencer ended up doing well. Or sorry, it's creators, not influencer. And there's always this emphasis on return on investment. What are my ROIs? So as an influencer, Julius, is it easy for you to grasp what the return on investment, the key performance indicators, is that something as a creator it's easy for you to grasp and to portray?
I feel like personally that's one of the hardest things to do, because for me, I take advertising as, for example, I'm selling, let's say, BitSafe, right? Which is one of my clients. I feel like the person who I'm targeting is a people who, at the end of the day, will bet. So it not necessarily has to be now, but like when you think of doing that, it will be like the number one or the number two option. You see, same as, let's say Superform, they sell mattresses. So like those people, when I do a video for them, I feel like if 50,000 people watch, right, not all of them will go and buy the mattress. But now when you get that need to buy the mattress, it needs to be like the number one, number two. So it's very hard for me to tell. Maybe you've seen the video now and you buy the mattress 1 year later. You know, how will I be able to know that? So it's very hard. I feel like it's very hard to tell, because my work is just to make you put the product as your number one or number two option. So whenever you go and buy it, it might be 6 months from now when I'm already done with the campaign. So it's really very hard to tell. Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard to tell, unless you have like maybe, you know how you can ask questions on social media. You know, did you guys get the product? Did you guys, you know, you can engage your following. But yeah, I agree. It's hard to tell. But yeah, I think there's a way to obviously talk to your followers personally. So I think it's worth a try. I haven't tried it, but yeah, I think.
So Max, over to being the creative director. I'm sure you interact with both sides a lot. You know, break down what the influencer, or rather the creator, needs to do. So what would be, not a fair way, what would be an easier way to integrate the return on investment and the KPIs for the influencer?
So it's always a very dicey conversation, because we tend to, you know, we pitch up all these big influencers, and I think the client expects it to be automatic, that you will drive sales, you will get more awareness, there'll be a lot of engagement, there'll be conversation. So it's always seeing, it's kind of seeing now, for this particular influencer, what is their strength, yeah? What can they really deliver? We find that there's some influencers who are really good at maybe even converting sales, yeah? They'll put up a coupon code, they'll put up a certain link, and you'll just see a lot of, you know, traffic driven to those links. And there are some who are really good in conversation. So they know how to like keep conversations going. They know how to excite their audiences. And so it's basically matching what is that influencer's strength, yeah? Based on their content, based on what they love creating, yeah? And is there potential for kind of putting that now into like a good metric for them? And that's what now we show as KPIs. That's what we define as ROI. But again, it's a very murky area there, trying to force influencers and driving ROI.
Okay, and would you say it's fair to pay or to have performance incentives for the influencer once they achieve the key performance indicator, or how do you go around this?
I think it would be fair to add up an incentive once they meet their KPIs. So for us, what we usually push for is streams, yeah. But then you see at the end of the day, if someone doesn't like a particular music or a particular genre of music, there's so much you can do, even you, as an influencer, yeah. So as long as you've made them aware of this release, and they know, for example, a particular artist has a new album on Boomplay, yeah, then maybe your job is done at that point, yeah, because you can't force someone to listen to music, yeah.
Okay, and now, as we cover that, we are in the age where we have influencers from all different categories, from nano to the premiums. And I would like to start maybe from the brand side. What would you say is the most effective, or who are the most effective people, whether the nanos, the micros, the macros, who would you say has the highest or the most impact when it comes to their social media presence and, yeah?
So I feel for macro influencers, they definitely have an upper hand when it comes to awareness and reach. But then even the micro influencers, they're very big on engagement. So again, it goes back to the brief, yeah? What does the brief, for the brief, yeah? What are we trying to achieve from this campaign, yeah? Why are we engaging this particular influencer? Is it that we want people to engage with this particular product or particular release, or do we want, the general public or the mass audience to know about this product that we are pushing? So it all depends on the brief.
I honestly more leaning towards micros and nanos. I think, in my opinion, they're way more creative. One, because they work hard at, trying to grab your attention. So, one, they're not afraid to, try new things, try new formats. They turn around much quicker. And for them, it's all about creating their own audience. So they're always feeling that every small thing they do, it's building their audience as they go. So, unlike, like macros and celebrities, you have to first align the brand to them. It has to be something, like he mentioned, something they like. So you can't just shove a brand down their throats. They have to be like, yeah, I think I can use this product. I see myself here. And of course, because of their big numbers, sometimes they want, to change the brief a bit. They feel like they have license to do that. So I'm leaning towards nanos and micros. Yeah.
So after hearing that, Julius, would you say you feel maybe not threatened, or that maybe you lack, there were more opportunities before, or that you embrace the nanos and the micros into the digital space?
I feel like I also agree with them, because for me, I feel like just from a brand standpoint, when you see a mega influencer influencing a brand, you just know that it's about the pocket, So there's less trust, I feel like. But the macro and the nano, I feel like for them, it's more like, for me watching, I feel like I'll trust the small influencer more than the big influencers, because I'll be like, najua tu alipatiwa do yake aseme hivi, so plus also the amount of brands that the mega influencer has, unajua, it's also an issue, because now you see, for example, you would push one brand, and then next month you're pushing a different brand doing the same thing, and then you're telling us the same thing. You see, now it becomes an issue where the person who's viewing, will they be able to trust that whatever you're saying about the brand is not about how much money you've gotten, but it's actually true. So I feel like in this conversation, the macro and the nano influencers, it's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have a nano influencer representing us here, Dave. So you could give us maybe your experience in that space.
Yeah, I think it's exciting because me definitely there's like influencers I look up to. So obviously I look at their content and I'm like, okay, I can try this, or how can I do this in a better way? How can I do this in my own way? So I think I guess there's a less informal way of creation for us, like smaller influencers. Because, yeah, and I think it's exciting that there's that freedom. And I'm also happy to hear that the brands, like, they want to work with us more. But yeah, I think I'd love to see how that goes. And yeah, because I thought honestly that you guys just rep the bigger one, the bigger, you know. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, well, I think there's a promising future for nanos and micros. Yeah.
So maybe a challenge is how maybe can we make content that's more authentic, more relatable? What's the challenge? Because you'll realize most times the bigger someone gets, of course, their quality of content gets better, and maybe it becomes a bit less relatable. So maybe how can I, as a creator, stay as authentic and true to myself, even let's say once the fame comes?
I think, like, I think fame is a funny thing. I think if you're having fun and you're keeping a good crowd around you and you're just enjoying the journey, because I feel like sometimes we're like, I can't wait to get to 10K. Like when I get to 10K, I'll do this, or like when I get to 15, I'll do this. But if you can just have fun in the moment, like where you are now, I think you'll have longevity in whatever industry, not just like influencing, but like in whatever. So yeah, I think it's just about having fun and staying true to you, and like having conversations with yourself. I think just like checking on yourself, you know, because yeah, sometimes you can get lost in the sauce, man. Like it is crazy. So yeah, I think it's just about staying true to you.
Maybe you can hear from you, Max.
Yeah, I think you summarized it really well. It's all about staying true to your brand, to your craft. Most of the times we try and you'll see influencers changing who they are, their voice. You start speaking different. You used to speak Sheng, now you start twanging. You used to dress in a certain way that you switched up. You'll just lose your audience. So it's all about yes, you want to develop your character as you go, but then it has to be in a way that is very true and honest to the creator.
I think it boils down to being true to yourself and true to your audience especially, yeah? So at the end of the day, as an influencer, as a content creator, remember, what made you famous. If I can just give an example, the guy who got to, I think, 100 million TikTok followers, Kaby Lim, he's gotten so famous, but he's still doing in all his TikTok videos, yeah? So at the end of the day, as an influencer, as a content creator, you have to remember, what got you to that level, yeah? Because that's what people love, yeah? So at the end of the day, just keep on being authentic to yourself and to your audience, yeah? And also as brand custodians, I feel like it's also important for us to really understand influencers. Don't force someone to do something that they usually don't do, yeah?
I'll just echo on the same thing that he said about just brands understanding the work of an influencer, and also just giving them the space to create content. Because I feel like also as a creative, maybe the views you get because you do a certain thing a certain way. But now when brands come to the picture, it's more like the content you create now starts to be like, it doesn't come out organically because you're supposed to say
Scripted.
something. Yeah. So one or the other, you see now, if you choose me to maybe push your brand, and it's because of how many views I get and because of the engagement I get. And then once we work together, now it's more like the whole thing is scripted, and then also represents the views that maybe we get, and then at the end of the day, there's no return on investment. So I feel like also it goes both ways. That needs to also be a creative in order for you to understand what that person does, because you'll have so many ideas as a creative on how you can execute, but then somebody does not see. You get, so yeah.
And maybe just to add on that, I would say the power of social media is that we all have our own individual brands that we can really share our uniqueness. I'm sure we all have our social media channels or pages, whether we have 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000 followers. We do have influence to maybe 10 people just because of what the unique factor we bring to the table. Then to add on to that, there's this question of creativity. Yeah? Is creativity something that I can just wake up and say, meaning creativity mbaya? Or is it something you can practice? Is it something developed over time? Like for you, Dave, maybe you can take us through your creative journey. How has that been?
Me, I've been everywhere. I started off as a musician. I did photography. I just love creating, and now I'm trying out influencing, and I'm still making music. So I think I love the goal of something new, like the fact that I can make something. People who say there's nothing new under the sun, it's just been done a different way. So I think also then that also challenges your creativity. So yeah, I think for me, I love chasing that new idea and the completion of it. So yeah, I think it's exciting. Yeah.
And for you, Julius, maybe you can take us through your creative process. Like before you do one of your funny skits, take us through that. What do you think about? How is the whole process?
So for me, I started creating content in 2015. And the reason why I started creating content is just because I was just broke. Let me just be honest with you guys. I was working in a movie shop, cyber cafe. I was earning 2,500 per month. I tell people they think it's a joke, but it's true. I got promoted to the Langata branch when I was earning 3,000 every month. So just starting content for me was just, it was one of those things that for me just used to, like, I'd have ideas, but then I'll be like, I'm waiting for a camera, as people do. I'm waiting for a good camera to shoot. But then it was just, I just started doing it, and then just starting to do it, you know how social media is. You'll get 15 likes, and then you'd walk around home, you're famous. People are saying, hey, I like your content, so you feel like you're famous. And then kidogo, just that way. And then it reached a point where now, the journey behind me was longer. Like you feel like I've put in 3 years, 4 years of my life, so I can't stop, It reached a point now where it was like, I can't stop. So right now, 6 years down the line, same way I create content, I think about my ideas mostly when I'm showering, when I'm in the toilet. I think it's a joke. And also when I'm just telling stories with my friends, that's how I create content. Because it also needs just to come from a point of authenticity. It just needs to be authentic. And I feel like we need to relate. I guess that's why people say my content is very relatable. Because it's just stories that I'll tell. Like, for example, me and you, we talk, and then it's like, hey, but pen me kitu. Are nice. And then we just find a way of scripting it very well, and then we just shoot. That's the whole process, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. And we're in the presence of a creative director. So maybe you can tell us, is it something that is taught? Are you born with it? Can it be nurtured?
So I honestly believe everyone is born creative. I think the difference comes in when we, you say you do graphic design, you say you can draw, that's a talent. So creativity is actually honing into these talents and kind of turning it into a way where you can sell it. So you use your talents, come up with ideas, and then you find a way to sell those ideas and create solutions from them. So 100% creativity can be taught. It's all about practice. I quote Malcolm Gladwell all the time. I think it's all about putting in your 10,000 hours, and yeah, you'll be there.
So I do have a chance maybe of becoming a creative
100%.
one day. And for Keith, how much would you say does creativity come when you would like to maybe run a campaign or choosing your influencers, or rather your creators?
So for brand custodians, I think we're given that job because we also have that creativity in us, yeah? And I actually agree with my panelists here that everyone has that natural ability of theirs, yeah? That inner knowing. You already know that, me, I love cooking, or I love music, or I love drawing, yeah? But then, how is that talent or inner knowing even identified, nurtured, and developed? Yeah, I think that would be the bigger question. Yeah, but I also feel that creativity is also in a way developed from observing. So, for example, if I know I love cooking, yeah, obviously I'd be in cooking channels. I'd be, following, Akina Roaming Chef, all these people who, Akina Kaluhi, all these people who cook, yeah? And as a creative, you always want to recreate what you've seen, yeah? But in a better way, yeah? So even for brand custodians, you already know, so there's this product that we want to sell, but then what's that unique angle that has never been done before? For brand custodians, I feel like that's what we should always, strive for. Yeah, what's that new thing that we want to introduce or to implement when we are launching this campaign? Yeah, so that's where creativity comes in for brand custodians.
Yeah, and also I would say maybe creativity comes also from curiosity, that natural inhibition just to try something new, to see if I do it this way, will it work? If I do it this way. And as we come to as we are winding down the session, I know there's a burning question that from both sides of the brand and the creators, you all face challenges working with either the brand or the creators. So maybe you could just share a few challenges all of you've probably faced and how you've addressed them.
I think I just started the other day, so for me it's just been like fun. But I'd say I think one thing I've heard, I haven't experienced it personally, but sometimes the request from the brand and the budget aren't matching. So like you're spending your own money, but yes, you're being told you'll be paid badai, but you may not have that cash to then get the product, advertise it, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes, yes, they like give you the product, but yeah, sometimes no, you have to get it yourself. So yeah, that's one of the challenges I've heard, but I haven't experienced it. But yeah, I think that's something that can be worked on and adjusted, yeah.
Julius?
I feel like, for me, the biggest issue I've had was just the person on the other side was not as creative, to be honest. You see, when I create a video, it is meant for a specific audience. I feel like not all my fans would like that video, but others would like that video, you get? So that aspect of just understanding that you know you know your craft. You know, I can't come to your space and dictate how you work, you know? Same as me, okay? I do understand my audience, and it's just me, like, I feel like the biggest issue for me is trying to strike a balance between making you happy and making my audience happy, okay? Because now the issue is you want the same views that I normally get, not advertising, okay? And my audience wants to see an authentic content that does not look like you scripted it too much or you're trying to push something like too hard, you know? So that balance is the issue. So trying to communicate with, I think, the side of the brand, it was a big issue, but now it's more of just understanding that, okay, you know your work, so if you send me things I need to do, or what are we selling, and then you let me create. And then we strike the balance, because also at the end of the day, you want the engagement. You want people to remember. And that's what me I strive for. Also, I think my team strives for that. We want when you create a video, people remember 6 months from now. Because if you remember, in the beginning, how I say it is, when you create a video, it's not for people to not only buy that thing now, but also remember it 6 months from now. Okay, this something that Julius talked about, and I want to buy it now. So that issue of remembering that idea, it needs to be funny, okay? So that balance.
Okay, thank you for that. Then now maybe we can hear from the brand side. What are the biggest challenges when dealing with the creators?
Budgets. No. I think as creative people in the creative business, our challenge is the idea big enough? Yeah? And do we have clients who are brave enough to actually say, I will commission such an idea? So it's an ongoing tussle, it's a tug of war, whether you oscillate between big budgets and small ideas, and small budgets and big ideas.
I agree with Max, that mismatch of budgets and deliverables, yeah? So as marketers, we might want the world, but only afford like a small town, yeah? But then we still want it to happen, yeah? So I feel for us, that's usually the biggest challenge, but we should also be realistic, yeah? If you want to push this particular campaign or this particular release, we also have to be realistic. Okay, if I want to work with this particular person, the red card dictates that for a video or for like a video, yeah, this is how much it's gonna cost, yeah. For us marketers, even us internally, we should be the ones who are, driving that conversation of, guys, we need to be realistic, yeah.
Thank you for that. And as we come to the close of the session, maybe you can all just give a short insight of your journeys, just to quickly wind down, because we're in the presence of both brands and creators, and we're trying to bring a consensus and understanding both sides of the same page, really, because we all work together. So you could maybe just give us a short, what's the word? Parting shot, yes, parting shot.
I think all I can say is give me work. My social media is Dave Ndegwa. Yeah, I'm ready and willing. I love music. I have my own music. I have an album. We can put it on your...
We can definitely talk.
Yeah, so we'll talk.
And you can also push
so
it.
yeah, I'm just here to create, man. So let's go.
I guess tutakupatia kazi, so... mine is, let's look for influencers out there, let's look for those unique stories, so that, you can better show that we're actually improving in this game, so that you can get brands more excited about your content. And yeah, keep making, don't stop.
Cool. So, as brand custodians, I'd like to urge the general public to, use musicians as influencers because they have a big following. People listen to them, literally, yeah. So let's use musicians as influencers. Let's try our best to enhance the music ecosystem because, right now we're that sort of like a launch pad, yeah, and we're taking off. So let's try as much as possible to support the music ecosystem. For brands, use musicians as influencers, use musicians to develop campaign assets for you. We've seen a lot of brands going into the music side, yeah. So let's keep on doing that.
Thank you in advance for giving me the work. So it's just, we're willing to work as influencers, as micro-influencers, because we believe that we have all the eyes in the creative side, social media. So give us the work, then we'll deliver, But also just give us the allowance to also create our own thing. And let's make, I feel like for creative, there's no better feeling than delivering. I feel like there's no better feeling than hearing from the client how whatever you did worked. I feel like that's what we chase. And yeah, let's just work together and yeah.
Okay, I think we can give them all a big round of applause. Yeah, so thank you guys. Yeah, we've come to the end of our session. So from hearing both sides of the stories, let's take risks. Let's make these big ideas happen. Let's integrate all these unique communities to bring new life, new ideas, and to actualize our dreams and desires. Thank you so much. You have been an amazing panelist.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope we've all had an insightful session. Yeah, thank you. We've come to the end of the session.
Create, I'll not necessarily consume, not because it's not good, but it's not tailored to my audience. Do we have a lot of female representation? Are you looking for more? Are there ways in which you can teach female creatives to get on that stage and say to the rest of us, hey, you can create, I may be a mom of two, but I'd like to be a creative, so how would you teach me to do that? That's my question.
And then I also have a question. So my question is, one is to the content creators, the influencers, and then the other is to the agencies that manage the content creators. So for content creators, what is it that you use to determine your pricing? What's your yardstick, or what's your rate card determinant, right? And then for agency, what is it that you use to determine which influencers or online creators that you will use? Because a lot of the time, as a consumer, not even as a marketer, as a consumer, I feel like the people are repeated a lot. So is it that there's not enough creators out there, or is it that these people work? I mean, I don't know. I just want to understand the thought process.
I feel like as a creator, the first time, I can't even lie to you, the first time you just put figures, to be honest. The first time you're doing it, you just put figures, because you don't know the value. But then, for me personally, I've done my research with other influencers as well, to just get a rough figure of how much I can charge. But then again, we also look at the value of what you're giving the brands. And also another aspect we do look at, for me, personally for me, I look at the production cost. And then, for me, to be honest, I feel like me posting on social media is just a plus, right? It's just a plus for me. Like, all my platforms are just a plus. Mostly it goes down to the content, the in the production, and the first most important thing is the idea itself, which is the script, because that is what will sell. Because I remember, as I told you, it's a very thin line between making the client happy and making the audience happy, and then also understanding that when I create a video for you, that's yours. So you can choose to like advertise it how you want to advertise it. So for me, my rate card is just basically how much it will cost me to do the production, right? Yeah.
Maybe I can take the agency question. So what filters do we use when matching influencers to brands? Well, like I mentioned before, so ultimately we look at the budget, yeah? I think clients want the influencer with the biggest reach, but charging the lowest rates. I don't think it exists. So we really try to match, number one, what product and service are you selling, and the person who's gonna be talking about that product. So they have to have like some similarities. And the reason why you see the same influencer being used over and over again could be, one, because of their reach, but also it could be because they actually package themselves to appeal to all these big brands, yeah? So they look like they can use the latest phone, so Samsung will use them. They like going to concerts, so Boomplay will use them. They drink tea in the morning, so Nescafe will use them. But actually, honestly, it's just how they present themselves and the kind of content they're able to create for those brands. And most times they do it very well. Their work ethic is great, so they end up getting the job.
I also do agree with you that influencers are used so many times. I mean, ish. Like ish. Like you look at these launches and you're like, kwani mimi sikupata hata ka email manzi hata niambiwe.
I was honestly avoiding the representation question, seeing that.
No, it's okay.
We are all. So I'll speak on behalf of Dentsu. I think I've hired a lot of female creatives, and they are out there. So we do consider that when hiring female creatives, we actually have a very equal number. So they are very well represented. Just so happens that on this panel, it was not the case.
Also to touch on the female creatives, on behalf of Boomplay, the MD of East Africa is a very young lady. Shout out to Martha for those who know her. And sometime next month, we'll also be hosting a conference for musicians. And some of the panelists are females in the music industry who are making real moves, people like Joy. Of course, we've also invited female artists, so there's a lot of female representation in the music industry.
He also has an answer for.
Okay, I don't work for any agency, so that's the first disclaimer. I'm a recovering ad man, so I should tell you I just quit. The reputation is purely based on biases by the marketing personnel. So I don't know him, I don't know her, but I like her. So the ones who are seen most of the time are the ones who are chosen by the brand owners, the custodian. And I'm not talking, this is not bullshit, this is real shit. I've been there.
I'll take that one. To some extent, there's some truth in what you've said, but also I'm sure the marketing guys here, the guys who work at agency, we always use these social media tools like Meltwater, Crimson Hexagon that can easily tell us, okay, so for this particular topic, be it music, be it finance, be it beauty, these are the people who talk about those things, yeah? And this is their following, this is their reach, and all that. So there are tools that can actually inform those decisions, not just personal bias.
Hey, hello. I would like to comment on the female creators as Wowzi. I testify that we have done more campaigns with female creators than male creators. Female creators are quite authentic, and there is a lot of them out there. I don't feel like they do need teaching, because they're amazing. And shout out to all the female content creators in the room, as they do amazing work. Thank you. Yeah, there's also a Wowzi top content video on our socials. If you check, 90% of the video is just female-centered content. So they do an amazing job, and we work with them. And they are quite outspoken. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kezia. I represent the queens only. We're the queens. We're the queens. You're supposed to be making a lot of noise. Anyway, I have a question for the men up there. So this is not really a question, but I've been on the brand side. Max, you know that. I worked with you for a couple of years. And maybe to answer your question, the rate card really needs first to be positioned from the history of media. We need to go back and see what the penetration was in the traditional marketing setup. So ideally, you'd run a television ad. It would run at 9 o'clock. The billing was about 1 million shillings, 3-minute long. Now we are on a different spectrum. There's a digital media. I'm able to give you exactly who you're looking for at your target market. We're not guessing anything. We're giving you that specific clientele. Then we're giving it to you at a larger spectrum. If it's on a post, it's something that's sitting on my Instagram, which means it has longevity. From there, then we're able to figure out a rate card. You know, we need to break it down to see what the penetration was, at what cost, and if we're coming in at 50,000 shillings, it shouldn't be negotiable, because a billboard, we know the standard price rate card of a billboard. So for me, as an influencer, I'm not necessarily coming in guessing my figures. My figures are actually based off the rate cards of traditional media. You know, before we know that when you're shooting a radio ad, you might or might not get your direct consumer. But for me, I'm dealing with queens. I know exactly who I'm giving you. I know the women that I'm dealing with. I know their target market. I know who they are. They have children. They have this, this, this. So I think that, yeah, you're smiling. I think I've gotten somewhere. The other thing I wanted to ask was, or to state, was that I wish, it is my dream that the Kenyan influencer would take their time to invest in their influence. Because it should be a full-time gig. It's just that it's not full-time because we're not investing. So it's the other way around. The better you polish your craft, the better you speak your language, the more you understand your consumer, the deeper the penetration. You don't need 10,000 people, you just need a good 5,000, and the turnaround is perfect. You're going to do this full-time, the consumer will come, the brand will come, you give them a return of investment. So I just feel like we're not polishing our craft. We find this, you don't realize, someone had said yesterday, you don't realize that you're actually an artist, you're a creator. That's what someone should be paying you for. That you have done all sorts of things, that you were a musician and now you're an art director, and that's the billing, that's the job. So I feel like we don't invest, we don't carve out the craft. We think it's a pastime thing because it's easy for you, but it's work. Someone else is unable to do what you have already done. So my dream is that the influencer, the content creator, polishes their craft so that even if you're a nano, the penetration is deep, the brand can invest, it can be a full-time gig, you know, and it moves. So yeah, those are my 2 points. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, my name is Neddy. So I'd like to ask, for someone who's trying to find their footing in the influencer industry as a nano or a micro-influencer, how do these agencies, because most corporates lean towards agencies to find their influencers, what criteria do they use like to select the micro-influencers, or do the micro-influencers go to the agencies?
Does someone from Wowzi want to take this one?
So I can, someone from Wowzi? Okay, I think I'll represent Wowzi. So, okay, yeah, let's Dr. Bashir talk.
I didn't see anyone else raise their hand, so I can do a bad job to answer that. I may not be the right person. Yeah, but I think to answer the question, the Wowzi system identifies the nano-influencer for the brand. It identifies on geography, it identifies on trade area, and it identifies on other factors such as income level, and so on. For example, if the brand wanted a nano-influencer in, let's say, Westlands, in, let's say, in the area of healthcare and fitness, the system simply identifies those and leaves out the rest and doesn't pick out all the other. So it unclutters, the system unclutters for the brand the influencer who is the right fit for the job. I don't know if that answers.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, so just to add on to what our chairman, Dr. Bashir, has said is the same way, say your celebrity type are categorized according to niche, which is the type of content or maybe the kind of products or services you consume, is you'll notice as you sign up to the platform, we conduct social media checks. So during this process, we're able to identify, you're a foodie because you post a lot of content, say, while you're at a restaurant, or you like to travel and you post a lot of lifestyle content. So then we're able to, again, categorize you based on that content niche. So then as we're grouping for, say, ABSA, which is financial services, or let me say, which other product that's very, very, let's say, maybe a product or a service that is in the beauty industry. If you don't use makeup, it doesn't make sense for you to influence for a beauty company. So those are some of the ways we go about categorization. And in terms of opportunities for nano influencers, is our business heavily relies on nano influencers, but also your micros and macros and premium or celebrities. So as we are doing our pitches to our clients, is we're able to sell all the different level of influencers that we have. So then in that case, we provide opportunities not only for your macros and your micros, but also for the nanos. And in most cases, most of the brands that we partner with tend to be, mass products or services that anyone, say you use Safaricom, you use Airtel, you bank, so you're a financial service consumer. Also, opportunities, again, for nanos to be able to upskill themselves is every single day we have training sessions just to be able to guide you through how to go about content creation. And Kamaru is the one who leads those sessions, and it's super, super important and useful for nano influencers because you or they are learning to be content creators for brands, which is a huge need for this particular group of influencers.
Thank you for that, Victoria. As we are running out of time, I think we'll just take one more question.
Right here. Here. Thank you.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. My name is Martin Githinji. I'm going to try and compress this as much as I possibly can. I am an actor, scriptwriter, director, and currently, yes, a social media content creator. Mine will probably be a question, a comment, and a boulder, aka Kurusha Mawe. Now, in 2018, I sat in such a meeting where in the panel was, I think, somebody from agency, somebody from Safaricom, and 2 or 3 other people. And I was an outsider then, and I felt very bad because I have been acting on screen for so long. People know me. People know me, but they are not giving me the jobs. Why are they not giving me the jobs? People know me. Then I asked that question, and then the thing they asked me was, who are you? No, really, we know you, but who are you? Who will people say you are? What can you tell them? And they'll listen to you. So yes, I was creating content. People were seeing my face, but I had nothing to prove that I can do what they need to be done. And what did I do from then on? I started recreating my content in different ways and pitching. Now, at the point of pitching is where I found out what Ngaroye is saying, where there are people who will like you because they like you, there are those who will not like you because they don't like you, and there are those who will be like, let's give you an opportunity and see how it's going to go. At that point, I was an outsider, and I feel the frustration that you're feeling. So what I don't appreciate, this is the boulder coming, are you ready? What I don't appreciate is there influencers wale wanatumika ni wale the same kila wakati. My friend, when you go to a bank, you probably go to the same teller each and every time, and you still get service from them, all right? This is their job. These influencers, this is their job. If they are doing the job well enough to get every other brand or company that aligns with their brand to work with them, then it's their job. That means they're doing their job well. They have consistency, they have reliability, and that's what the brands want, and that's what they appreciate, okay? So, do your part. Don't say, because Mato is getting the jobs, now I feel bad because Mato is getting the job, all right? That was the boulder that I can pull back now.
Can I respond?
Okay, no, you shall, okay. All right, and then, last but not least, as far as the rate cards are concerned. So, what a rate card mostly has been for me is the ideal, best case scenario. Best case scenario, this is the much I would want to be paid. But the ideal is never actually what is met. Very rarely will you find someone throwing in a rate card or a budget and they say, okay, fine, we are going to pay you that immediately. Because there is what the budget is set for that for, and in most cases you'll find that you'll probably be negotiated down. So, as far as rate cards are concerned, you said it rightfully, especially as a video creator. It is what are your costs in production, and the next level is, how much time have I taken to get to the level at which I am at? I might be creating the same video as you. You and I are creating the exact same video. But you've been in the industry for 10 years. I've been in the industry for 3 years, okay? I'm going to take probably a lot more time to create it. You're going to probably take 3 minutes and you're done. So should you be paid less because you've spent less time? No. It took you those 10 years to be able to do that job in 3 minutes. And me, it's going to take me 6 hours to do that job in 10 minutes. So value of the work, time put in. How much time have you put in it? What experience do you have? And I think I had a question somewhere in there, and it is lost. But yes, that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Martin. I think you can give him a round of applause. Unfortunately, we can't take any more questions. We're running out of time, and we still have another session. So, we're running out of, maybe you can just ask the creators, or you can ask them personally. We're running out of time, and
it's a short one, believe it. So for me, I'm just going to talk about what Martin has said, and for me, it's about believability of content creators. Most of the times you will find that content creators, the reason why people are saying that it's the same and same and same, I believe that there is a wide array of believable content creators and influencers who can be used. This is to brands, because sometimes you find someone is almost like a billboard, It's being done over and over again, and the authenticity of the creator, for me, loses value. Because you're not gonna give someone work and they are not that person. So people or brands and even agencies should pick influencers who are believable.
Thank you. So, of the very informative session. Thank you for the questions and thank you for the insights. Yeah, you can now leave the stage. Thank you. You can give them a round of applause as they leave the stage.
All